Now, Peter King thinks that spying in on Americans is awesome. Well, I guess only if they're Muslims. And he thinks that Muslims should also love that idea. Let's take a look at this video on CNN where he says this.
I really think people in the Muslim community should want this type of surveillance. Listen, when they were going after the mafia, Brianna, they sent the FBI and the police went into the Italian-American neighborhoods, the social clubs. When they were going after the Westies, that was an Irish-American gang on the west side of Manhattan. They were in every Irish bar and gin mill. They were hanging around the Irish club. This was all the FBI, NYPD. That's how it was done. If you're looking for the Klan, you don't go to Harlem. You go where the threat is coming from. And in this case, if you're talking about Islamist terrorism, it's going to come from the Muslim community. Now, 99% of the Muslims are, I'm sure, good, patriotic Americans, but the threat is coming from their community. And I would think they would want to have this. They would want to have the assistance of the police and the FBI.
Yes, they would want to have the assistance of the police and the FBI in the form of them spying on them. Because they should want that because they are, well, 90% of them at least are all good, patriotic Americans. You know who else are good, patriotic Americans? White Christian men. It just so happens that white Christian men have actually committed more acts of terrorism in America than Muslims. I know, right? You don't believe it. You don't believe it. I know. No, I'm not saying that all white Christian men are terrorists. Most of them are, as I said, good, patriotic Americans. But just in case, we should probably spy in the churches too. You know, you got to follow what Peter King says, and go right to the source. And you know that white Christian terrorism, I mean, that's where they are. That's where they are. So you got to spy in the churches just to be sure. I mean, they should welcome the assistance of the police and the FBI. I mean, if you're a good patriotic American, well then you have nothing to hide from Peter King. Now, I'm guessing that this suggestion probably wouldn't go over very well. Look, I'm not against looking into actual threats. Let's be clear on that. But we do have a system of due process. Hey, look, if you want to spy on somebody, you need to have some probable cause. You need to go out and you need to get a warrant. You need to have information that says, we need to spy on this particular person because we think that they're up to no good. Okay, you use the system of due process. You get a warrant. You go to a judge, you get a warrant. You just can't do blanket surveillance just because, well, we think they're there. No, that's not work. That doesn't work. There's nothing more un-American than doing that. Now, King, he's going to continue. Take a look at this.
On Long Island, where I'm from, we've had a number of ISIS, certainly Al-Qaeda people arrested. Actually, one arrested in Afghanistan fighting for Al-Qaeda, and it turned out they were from mosques on Long Island, and the mosque would say, oh yeah, they came here, they said they wanted to engage in this activity, we told them we don't do that, but they never went and told the police. And even though they meet with the police on a regular basis as part of a community relations program, never told the police any of these activities.
Oh, so they never told the police. Oh, I see. So you just, but somehow spying on the mosques would have, you know, solved this issue. Well, it turns out that no, New York already did that. They already did spy on the mosque, and they found nothing. There's actually no record of mass surveillance of any type being used to thwart terror attacks. None. And according to internal unclassified Department of Homeland Security documents provided to The Intercept, terror arrests between January 2014 and September 15th linked to ISIS, remember he mentioned ISIS, were largely of people trying to travel abroad, provide material support, or plan attacks that were essentially imaginary, not real. And none of them were found or thwarted using these domestic surveillance of mosques. So now host Brianna Kyler is going to ask King about the possibility of this kind of thing, well, just making Muslims angry and making them want to do terror attacks. Well, let's listen to this.
Can I ask you, though, you talk about the mafia as an example, and even with that program, I mean, I don't believe that there were any sort of independent mafia-inspired terrorist attacks. I wonder if you would be concerned that there could be some terror attacks outside of the community that would be looked at that could be inspired by something like this.
Well, again, I think that's sort of backing away. I think we should use the surveillance to the extent it's important, and also we should be monitoring other locations. I guess what you're saying is, to just inspire attacks. I think then you're playing defense. If you're in that situation where you're afraid to go after the enemy because that may inspire them to carry out attacks, then we'd be basically doing nothing. So no, I'm not concerned about that anymore. To me, there's more of a concern if we do nothing or if we don't do the surveillance. I would rather be on offense, do the surveillance, and that could lead you to other attacks.
Nobody's saying that we should do nothing. We should just do things within the law instead of doing things like warrantless wiretapping, which is unconstitutional. But look, back to her question. I don't even think this is the right question. She should be asking, why are we as Americans allowing the government to spy on us when it's been shown to not work in the first place? Not only is it illegal, but it also just doesn't work. Remember, as I had mentioned, I pointed out, the NYPD has already spied on mosques. They've already done this. And they have foiled absolutely 0 terror plots. The only thing that they actually did was violate the rights of actual good patriotic Americans, the people that you're trying to protect. Domestic spying doesn't work. Simple as that. And here's sort of the real issue. The real issue is that we shouldn't be spying on people without any sort of cause. Once again, if you have cause, if you get a warrant, okay, great. Spy away on this person, right? Because, yes, I actually do want them to thwart terror plots. But I want them to do so within the confines of the law instead of going outside the law and doing blanket surveillance of everyone's metadata or everyone's data, spying in on their emails, their phone records, everything like that. You shouldn't be doing that in a broad blanket approach. That is unlawful, and we shouldn't be doing this. It's unconstitutional. But unfortunately, we have congresspeople like Peter King, who unfortunately want to violate people's freedoms in the name of safety. And we all know what the founding fathers thought about that one.